Hello and welcome back to the Star Wars Library. It's been a little while, so I apologize for that, but we're going to keep on rolling with our look into the Marvel comic book series. Now, last time we left off, we finished with the Doom World story arc, which was kind of one of the I would say well-known or more well-known series that Marvel did. So today we're only going to be looking at two issues, and both of them are standalone issues. So we'll first start out with our first issue that we're looking at today, issue number 16. A little bit of a glare there. But issue 16 was a kind of a big deal for the Marvel series. This is the first comic to not feature any of the main characters in it. So no Luke Skywalker, no Han Solo, no Princess Leia, no Chewbacca, no C-3PO, no R2-D2, none of them. It's it's all original characters. There's no film characters in this, which it's kind of bold if you ask me, because this series has only been out for not that long, and already they're making new characters the focus. It's pretty interesting. The new characters we're looking at are Jem and Denshawn and all that, and of course the cyborg known as Valence, who recently made an appearance in the new Legends comic 108, which we'll get to years from now. But anyways, so Valence is this guy here, and essentially what he's doing is he's looking for um, Luke Skywalker because he is just on this hunt for him. And Jem is this guy who looks like Luke. Who I just reread this issue last night to prepare for this review, and I mean I can kind of see it. I guess I don't know if there was a huge push to make sure that was the case, but regardless, that was the whole thing there. So Valence is a really cool character. He's kind of a pirate bounty hunter kind of a character, but he's also a cyborg, which is really cool. It's something different, something very interesting, and that's one of the things I really do like about this Marvel series is that they're not um, focused on, okay, Darth Vader's the bad guy or the Emperor's always the bad guy. They did come up with some different ideas and different characters, and so for that I do applaud them. Now, is this comic essential to your read or to your library, to your reading? Uh, I mean, it depends. I mean, Valence and these characters are strictly Marvel characters. We don't really get a lot of them in other expanded universe references. So, reading it again, it kind of goes back to that whole, well, if you're reading the Marvel books, it's worth your time. And so, I would encourage you to check it out, just like I would encourage you to check out all of the Marvel books, because quite frankly, I think they're really awesome and fun reads. And I had a good time rereading it last night. So it's not a long read. It's nothing that's going to take you a long time. So yeah, I mean, might might be interested to check out. But the next issue we're going to talk about is issue 17. Now, what's interesting is that in a little bit, or in a few episodes later, I'm going to be mentioning something that if you were reading chronologically, you would read right here. We're we're not there yet. But anyways, the next one is Crucible, which is actually the name of the final EU novel that was put out, which is kind of interesting. So this issue, basically what it is Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. It's right after the previous arc, and they're flying in the Millennium Falcon, and Luke's at the controls, and then he just kind of flashes back to his time on Tatooine in a story with Biggs. Um, and so it's kind of cool, and you kind of get to see Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru again, and it kind of hints at Uncle Owen not wanting Luke to follow in the footsteps of Anakin, which is kind of interesting. But then it fast forwards. Biggs is about to leave for the Imperial Academy, so they're kind of having like a farewell celebration, all the Luke's friends and at Anchorhead and all that. So they're having this big celebration in Beggars Canyon. They're going, and Biggs gets injured by this Tusken Raider, this poison or whatever, in his shoulder from one of their staffs, and so Luke is trying to get Biggs some medical attention. Of course, it works out okay. We've seen the movie. We know that Biggs is okay, and that about does it for the story. And then it kind of just says Luke's like, "Oh yeah," and then Episode 4 happened. And then he talks to Han Solo like, "Yeah, I'm right where I need to be," or something like that. Again, I also reread this one last night. So, what do I think of this comic? What is it with issue number 17? Well, if you go back to 1978, which is where we're at right now in our publication order, if you look at the original cut that came out of A New Hope in 1977, we did not really get much about Biggs. We got a name drop from Luke like, "Oh, Biggs is right. I'm never going to get out of here." And then his name is dropped, I think, again during the Death Star Trench battle. And then, of course, Darth Vader kills him in the Battle of Yavin. And Luke then looks, we get like a shot of him going, and then that's it. And then, Han Solo shows up, and I mean, we all know the movie, I'm assuming, right? So, we didn't have the special edition cut to give us that extra scene of Biggs and Luke reuniting before the battle. And then, of course, there was also that deleted scene of them in Anchorhead when Luke sees the space battle above Tatooine where they're capturing Leia. Then Biggs and he talk, and Biggs reveals that he's going to be jumping ship and going to the Alliance. We see this in the novelization of A New Hope, and we also see it in the comic adaptation of A New Hope as well. But that scene obviously was not in the movie, and then George didn't put the later scene in this, that he would eventually do in the special edition in the original theatrical cut. So we didn't really get much on Biggs. This issue here is kind of a good way to see a little bit of Biggs's history. And one thing I find interesting is that Biggs is a character we don't get much in the EU. We have some things that we'll get to eventually that kind of cover him. Particularly Star Wars Empire, that comic book series kind of touched up on him leading up until the Battle of Yavin. But we don't really get much of him. So I'm glad that Marvel did this. But again, it's kind of, again, is this essential? I would actually argue, though, that this one might be worth your time, even if you're not reading the Marvel books. This one might be worth your time just to see some of Luke's life on Tatooine, and of course, getting to know Biggs a little bit more. And so it might be worth your time, even if you're not reading the Marvel books. Now, if you are reading the Marvel books, I would still say definitely check out this issue. Um, Ultimately, though, it is up to you. These aren't super essential, but it's an okay story. I enjoyed it. Again, reread it last night. It was fun. So that's all the time I have for today. Tune in next time where we will continue our trek through the original Marvel Star Wars series. May the Force be with you.